What up?
What's happening, Doc?
What it be like on a Sunday evening?
Man, it's easy like Sunday morning. You
Is it easy
underdig?
like
You know what I
Sunday
mean?
morning on a Sunday evening? It's the
You
it's the
underdig?
Commodores.
You know what I mean? Ain't nothing shaking but the leaves in the trees, and they ain't
Man,
shaking unless it's a cool breeze.
nah, that's
You
an OG
dig?
right there. That's an OG.
Ain't nothing cooking but the water pot, and ain't cooking unless the water get hot. You
What
underdig? Let's
what is
talk, brother.
happening? What is happening already? We've already lost Jeff. Jeff,
Yes,
Jeff
sir.
been watching. He been watching Dolomite. You've been watching old '70s movies, Car Wash and
Ah,
uh,
listen, we getting it
Uptown
on and
Saturday
funky
Night.
today, baby.
I feel it. I feel it, man. How was your day today, bro?
Man, my day was phenomenal, man. It was a great service, man. My voice is gone. I think I shouted myself. Remember, I talked to you the other day and said I was going to try to be quiet this Sunday?
Yeah, it didn't
Yeah,
work.
that,
It
that
didn't
didn't
work.
work.
Every time I say I'm going to teach, I end up rolling on the floor, spitting and slobbing. Like
That's just not work.
this gonna be a Joel Osteen. this, this gonna be a Joel Osteen turned into a Bishop Patterson.
Man, I came out the pulpit. I almost started to jump on the pews, man. I said,
Oh
Lord,
man,
what happened? I
you
said
just
I have
want
to be, I'm
you just
gonna,
want
I'm
to
gonna.
spread that COVID anointing everywhere. You just want everybody to get it. You just want everybody to have it.
Hey,
All right, y'all.
I've been. What is that called? Immunot, whatever it's called. I got both my shots
You got the market of
inoculated.
you got the market of beast is what you got. According to my evangelical friends, you have been tricked. You listen. I'm gonna say this before we say hi to a few people. Good brother, an apostle who I actually highly respect. There's a white brother actually shares a lot of great wisdom. Don't even remember how we connected on Facebook, but the brother made as long of a gracious announcement about getting the shot as he could, and man, his people jumped on him so bad, man. I mean,
Wow.
he got rebuked every which way. It's so divisive. It's scary. Again, I totally feel and understand. I grew up in a bit of that environment of just that extra caution that everything is leading to something else. But
Right.
I felt bad for brother. I felt bad for
That's horrible. That's
the
horrible.
brother.
I mean, it's still people dying, and we have to do something. We have to do something. And I mean, as many people as getting this shot, and as many people as I mean, I've gotten both of mine, and I really haven't had any side effects, any hurt, harm, or danger.
Mike
You
has some
know,
Mike has some issues. Mike has some issues. But all I did was a Thriller dance for a few minutes. I
well,
did.
that's because that's because Mike got a shot with some Hennessy,
Mike was already. Mike had toxins in his body. All right.
Mike was like, I'm gonna get a shot on top of a shot.
He said, I brought my own shot with me. Cat Wade, how you doing? Hey, Sister Whitby, good to see you. We got the Saints coming in. We got to behave now. Lady Dela Cruz is here. We
Praise
definitely got to
God.
behave. We got to
Hallelujah.
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 All right, Rashad, Sean, Jeanette, good to
Oh,
see you.
Dave Hallbrook is here. He got something smart to
Holbrook.
say.
Oh, I know he do.
Pastor Hallbrook got something smart to say.
Holbrook was going in on Jeff last week.
I'm done. We ain't even friends no more, me and Pastor Hallbrook.
Hey, he had a brother named John that looks a little bit better than him, so invite him to preach next time. I saw the picture, Dave. You can't deny it. You can't deny it. So, hey, we got to start off at the top of the show, man. Rip DMX, rest in peace, brother.
Yeah.
DMX.
Sure.
I think we talked about it last week that the news had dropped, and we didn't know what was gonna fall, but the brother lost his life, and there is a lot of sadness. His cultural impact. I always say that everybody who's made an impact in our world is not necessarily a Christian or a preacher. And he actually showed a strong sense of spirituality and declared Jesus, as a savior. Again, it looks different for everybody. He was open about his faith and his journey. And I saw that heartbreaking video that they had about how he first got addicted to drugs as a teenager.
Yes.
At the hands of a older mentor friend. Just breaks your heart, and so I wasn't a rap fan. I wasn't a huge rap fan, to be honest. I don't pretend. I'm not one of them hardcore, hip hop preacher people. I was a good old church boy, but we used to sneak some tapes in. You know how we used to do.
Absolutely.
Sneak some tapes in behind Dad's back. But the dude, had the hits, the Rough Riders. That was the soundtrack to my teenage years. So, rest in peace.
Definitely give it up to him. I mean, obviously, I was a hip hop fan.
Oh yeah,
I never really got
you.
into.
You were on Death Row Records, weren't you, for a while? Weren't you signed to Death Row?
Good night, baby.
Suge.
Listen, but I was never really a DMX fan. I liked his movies better than his rap career.
Okay,
but I did like him as a person. I liked what he represented, and although I mean, he struggled, he had demons, and truth be told, many of us got them too. They just ain't been found. So
right, and they ain't been cast out either. They ain't been cast out. Truth be told. So we're 3 for 3 now. This will be my opening subject. We're 3 for 3. As far as all the people that Christians hate, apparently, according to Facebook. So apparently we all hate Kirk Franklin. We all hate Lil Nas X, and we all hate DMX now. And
we really only hate one of them.
I'm just saying this as you hate one of them, okay? Me and the love of Jesus that I have in me. I don't have any of these. But here's my problem. Here's my problem. And my buddy, Pastor J. Patrick, down in Richmond, Virginia, who got blessed with a massive church campus, by the way, he announced last week. He made a great comment. He said, I'm so sick. He said, I have not seen one negative post about DMX. Said the same thing when Kirk, honestly. I mean, they rallied behind him.
Right.
They rallied behind Kirk.
Yes.
But what I'm saying is, it seems like people who have it out for church and church people and church culture or whatever, it's like they immediately come with the posts and the memes about how, y'all can't stand the real Kirk, or y'all always judging Lil Nas, or y'all DMX is the kind of Christian you can't handle. And I'm kind of like, who, what,
that's why you church folk.
Y'all church folk.
We have nothing against these people.
Like, who is y'all?
I mean, if Kirk dropped a record right now, it'd probably go platinum.
Oh, bro, I'd be calling to come sing at my church. And Lil Nas X is like most of my church members' little nephew. So I'm just saying, you know what? But this is my serious theory. And we're going to bring our guest in on this. But later on, we're going to ask him what he thinks about this. But honestly, Jeff, you and I both now at this juncture in life pastor two older Baptist churches. We are everything people think the church is, to be honest. Right. We are everything you think you see in a Tyler Perry movie, and the hats. And by the way, let me just throw this aside here. Somebody made a joke about big church hats on Easter. And one of my buddies was like, so who had on the biggest sombrero on Easter? And I said, I looked at it, and I went back and looked at the pictures because one of the sisters took a pic from the choir stand, and we had a nice little crowd. And there was literally one old church mother with a hat on. It's like, I don't think this segment of society that is not that connected with the church understands how much has really changed. Like, you haven't even been here to know.
They're still living off the memes and the jokes from 1975 that are pre-existing to what the church is nowadays. We are just as casual, oftentimes just as casual, just as laid back, and as anything else. And you're still, and you haven't been.
So you haven't been there to know.
You're literally telling the jokes that your grandfather and grandma told.
Right.
That you have no idea what they really mean.
And I'm like,
you really can't even laugh about the joke because you've never been there.
I get mad because some of these cats, I'll be honest, this is religiously incorrect. Some of this is just clout chasing because it's an easy joke. Some of these dudes and sisters, I'm like, dude, you were just here last week shaking my hand, talking about how welcome you felt.
Right.
What are you talking about? Like, you were just here. But there's just a disconnect. And the other thing is, it's not really traditional like church. And there are traditional churches. There are people who still say, very judgmental things. Every time something happens, they're really knocking it. But honestly, that has become more and more the minority. And I would say it is less what is considered, religious tradition and more generational. Like, It is not that this woman is like spiritually judgmental. It's the fact that she's 85 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She's 85, dude. Like, what do you expect great grandma to think? She still thinks that if you walk around with pink hair and a stud in your nose and in your lip or something, there's something wrong with you, because
absolutely
that was the standard. So I just feel like every generation should give grace. There's nothing you can do about that Facebook mob and the Instagram mob. We show love. We don't want to clap back. I've been talking about that recently, about respect. let's not clap back at everything. But after a while, it does get tiring because you feel like there's so much more you could partner on if people just weren't setting you up like, and then they'd be like, oh, y'all hate. I'm like, who is y'all? Who is y'all?
It's ridiculous. I'm tired of it. I mean, it's the same line, as you know what I mean. When I was growing up, we fought. We used our fists. You know what I mean. Now everybody want to shoot. You know what I mean. It's like you said, it's generational. So I can talk all I want to talk about how many people I beat up. They like, listen, you ain't got to fight if you got a gun. So I mean, it's just
that's my generation. I'll shoot you, man. I'm just telling you now.
Right,
I'm not fighting.
You can do all the hi-ya you want to do.
These hands are made for playing piano, so I'm not damaging these fists. I'm not. All right, let me get our sponsors in, and we'll introduce our guests. Jeff, I'll go first with our Phillips family of businesses, and then you can introduce the most stylish folk in Warren. But our proud sponsors of Religiously Incorrect, starting with Phillips Care Cleaning Service. Don't waste your time. Let them do it. They clean up the mess that causes you stress. That's a good preaching line.
Yes,
I'm going to use that one day and give Fernando and Mike credit. My classmate, Fernando Phillips, has done so well for himself. He runs Phillips Care LLC as a family business. They do everything: floor cleaning, commercial cleaning, house cleaning. They even do carpet cleaning and repair now, upholstery. They do landscaping, lawn care. They start lawns at $30. I know. I watched this brother come up with just a truck and a lawnmower, and he's doing big things. And so we're grateful for Phillips Care lawn services, Phillips Care cleaning and industrial maintenance, all the things you can think of. Call and contact Phillips Care LLC. Visit them on Facebook or call 219-7916 for my 330 peeps. Pastor Jeff, I'll let you talk about the next one.
Wonderful. Before we talk about Fernando, I need my grass cut. I'm too busy. I'm the bishop now. I don't got to cut grass anymore.
The apostle don't cut grass.
Listen, we want to definitely shout out my mother-in-law, the phenomenal Rosalind Hill at 5 Grands Boutique, 164 High Street, Northeast downtown Warren, Ohio. Store hours are Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday, 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can look them up at shop5grands.com. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram. The boutique for the busy woman that needs an easy style. Easy like Sunday morning. What you talking about? You better go down there and get your gear right. Y'all know y'all want them hats for Mother's Day.
Mother's Day is coming. Mother's Day is coming. Hey, let's just be real though. You know good and well that store ain't open at no 10:30 a.m. Come at 10:40.
It's because my wife opens up. So
come at 10:56.
My wife, and y'all know my wife pregnant, so y'all leave her alone. But she was still late before she was pregnant. But
all right, Father Abraham, we heard your story already.
Listen, see, here you go.
Hey, Pastor Tatum from New York, Amber, Cambria, we have one of my favorite people in the whole wide world joining us today. He is a whole lot of things. He is a worshiper, a songwriter, a worship leader, a pianist, and I'm saying all the small stuff first because the most important thing is he is a man of God, a preacher par excellence, and the lead pastor of the Light Church. He has been birthed out of the loins of Pastor R.A. Vernon of the Word Church, where he served for many years. And I mean, I'm dead serious. I watched this brother. You just get elevated. I mean, we're going to talk about it from the old school. And I want everybody to share this video. Let somebody know that we are welcoming to the stage the one and only Pastor Mark T. Jackson. Give it up for him.
Yeah. Hey, family. Audience, put your lighters up in the air. Audience. There's a whole lot of alarms going off right now.
Hey, we always do this so that you can't back out at the last minute. We wait till you get on to act crazy. How you feeling, my brother?
Man, I'm great, Pastor Todd. Thank you for having me. I want to honor you and also Pastor Stanford, Pastor Jeff. I love you, man. Thank y'all. It's good to just chop it up with my brothers and my friends. Yes. I love you guys. Thank you so much for inviting me to this platform. To everybody who's watching, hello. Hope you're having a great day. Great evening, no matter where you are. I'm excited to share time with you guys.
Hey, I got this clip I got this clip of Mark running track from Herbert High
Oh,
School.
Lord. You really have it? You really got it for real?
I tried.
Oh my God.
You consider yourself blessed. I was trying hard. You must have scrubbed the internet. I think you had the Word Church Detective Team.
God is just good. You know, He's faithful to me. That's all I can say. God is good.
I remember the track running days at Hubbard High School.
Oh my Lord.
Oh
Wow.
man. No.
Wow.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was just gonna say here's some. I want to lay down some ground rules today, because what we're not gonna do, as we've done in the past, is talk about E flat, A.
See, Jeff he's a hater. Jeff is a music hater.
We ain't gonna talk about pianos the whole show. We ain't gonna talk about music. I don't know nothing about music. I don't know.
Wow.
So we're gonna talk about other things besides music in the name of Jesus.
No, we're not. Let's talk about that E flat diminished seventh chord right quick.
He said diminished seventh chord, and it's probably real.
It is.
I just couldn't tell you. It's probably real.
Speaking of which, my minister of music is on. Shout out to him, Micah Hall.
What's up, Micah?
Number one, Dennis Forney is on. I see so many of you guys commenting. What's up? Thank y'all for joining us tonight.
So tell us about the Light Church, Pastor Mark. Just give us the rundown. Tell us, we already seen you at work. I mean, y'all are already just shaking up the Mahoning Valley and on in the Akron and everywhere else. Tell us about the Light Church.
Well, man, listen, I'm just grateful to be the lead pastor of the Light Church. I don't know what's going on with my screen. Y'all see it going in and out. I don't know.
It's all good, man. As long as we can hear you.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, man, I've been doing it for about a year and a half now. We started 2019, September 1st. As you said, birthed from the Word Church in Cleveland, Ohio. And many people know that, you know, I've been a part of this community for years. The Mahoning Valley is home to me. Started out at a little church, Heavenly Place Church of God in Christ.
Yeah, Church of God in Christ.
You can join him. You know, you got to be born in.
You got to be born in.
You know, you can't just join it. You got to be born in. So I started there. Then we went up to Akron to a church called Greater Holy Trinity Church of God in Christ in Akron, where I served my pastor there, the late Superintendent Clarence Jackson Sr. Served him for 15 years. And then right around 2008, I was around 28 years old, I got called by Dr. Vernon to then transition to the Word Church. And there I got into, I don't know, man, I've learned so much. I revere that man so much. He's my father in the Lord. And he just raised me as it relates to preaching and teaching me how to pastor the people. I thought I was being called to be a minister of music. Had no idea I was being called for God to train me how to be a leader.
Wow.
How to change lives, how to change economy, how to change people, you know, and bring them into a new way of living, a new understanding of who God is, doing church a little differently. He was one of those individuals who people talk negative about just because he was prominent and doing great things. And people don't know that the church that he first opened up actually closed the doors on him. He wrote a book called The Blessing Behind Closed Doors from that. And he just kind of trained me about that. So I was with him 11 years. And then right about the 8th or 9th year, he began to see and feel something was on me more than just playing the keyboard, playing some music. And he said, he asked me, what are you sensing that God is saying? What do you sense you're supposed to pastor at some point? And I had to be honest with him and tell him, I do believe at some point I'm supposed to lead in that capacity. And he just sort of got me ready for that and then launched me out 2019, pretty much paid our way, man, to go to a place and make sure that we had everything that we needed, funded me as a pastor for a full year. It really put me, even though I was gone, he was literally paying me salary to make sure that things wouldn't drop while I was, getting them established. And so for that, I'm eternally grateful. I see my man Kenneth Wilder on.
Yes, sir.
And congratulations, he just got engaged.
Yeah, just got engaged.
Wonderful.
Yeah, just got engaged. So to his beautiful fiance, congratulations. But then we had the profound privilege of planting the Light Church. And I tell people all the time that life is dark, come to the light.
Yes.
And that's what we're believing, that people will come into our church and their life will change. That's the whole thing. We're believing that their life will change, that they will come into a better understanding of who Christ is, and then be able to actually use their gifts. And we've just seen God do some wonderful things already, man. Was able to bless the city with over between $10,000 to $15,000 worth of gas on last year, man. Just blessing people during this COVID
And
season.
by gas, you mean weed, right?
No, no,
My
you
bad, my
know,
bad.
yeah, I don't know those young
You,
terms. I
you
ain't
don't
there
know them
yet.
young terms?
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
you need to walk the hood with me, Doc. You
I
say we
love,
giving away free gas. This is something
yeah,
else.
yeah.
I'm joking.
But it was a blessing, man, to see so many families touched. And so here recently, we've actually, that church that I used to be a minister of music out in Akron, Greater Holy Trinity, I was called back to pastor. And
Wow.
of course, my uncle transitioned,
Yes.
and they were looking for a pastor, and Bishop Cook of the Churches of God in Christ called, and they had a selection committee and selected me to be the next pastor, man. And so I have not shared it with many yet, but we'll be transitioning to the Light Akron now. Uh,
Wow.
so it'll be the Light Youngstown and the Light Akron in just a few weeks. So God has been totally faithful to us, man. I just can't believe that God would do it, and He would do it this quickly. So we're excited about the movement that's happening. We just opened our doors today to go back into the sanctuary, because many people was talking. They was talking so bad about me. Why is he shutting the church doors and all that? But we were seeing 250, 300 people were coming on a weekly when we opened up, and I would rather err on the side of congregational care and
Right.
make sure that they were okay, man. So grateful to God that people kept giving to the ministry financially, so we were able to be sustained throughout that, man. But God has just been faithful to us, and so I love the Light Church. Those who are leaders, those who are serving, it's just been a beautiful thing. And ultimately, we just want to come alongside other ministries, do things with ministry. You guys, Pastor Todd, we've been doing some things together. You do an
Absolutely.
event or whatever. Like, so I just love the work that everybody is doing. And people, they look at it like, is this a competitive thing? I think our age generation, we don't look at it as competitive. It's almost like we want to help each other. We want to work together to make sure
Absolutely.
that we build the city. It's enough people that are lost in our
Right.
city for
Right.
all of our
Yes,
churches
sir.
to be
Yes, sir.
packed. There's enough
Yes,
people,
sir. Yes,
so we're going to help each other. We're going to, covenant to make sure that, we love each other and we support each other throughout this. Yeah.
Pastor Mark, first of
Yes,
all,
sir.
I want to congratulate you. First, you're in your ministry is in East High School, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
That
sir.
is my school. I went to East for 2.5 years. I wasn't
Okay.
able to graduate because my mother moved to the South side. But I'm an old East High Golden Bears on the
Okay,
block.
good.
I love East.
Oh
You know what I mean? So
Lord.
you fair East High.
Yeah.
Not fair inside.
Uh, but you went up to the word, which was obviously for those who don't know, the word is a mega church. It's a
Who
huge
doesn't
church.
know that? Who doesn't
Uh,
know?
but the thing is, how were you outside of music, able to uh, find your place and stand out in such a huge ministry like that? Now I understand it's the favor of God, obviously, because it's all on you. You bringing light skin back and everything.
I'm about to say he got that light bright. What do you mean how he stand out? I'll tell you how he stand out. He's standing out right now.
But how were you able to make the impact that you made there?
Well, let me share with you. My intentions were not to stand out. My intentions, honestly, was to survive.
Wow.
I was coming from a ministry where there was about 125 people that you see, and that was packed on a Sunday with 120. That's sardine packed, 125. To a ministry who has seen over 40,000 people walk through the church and give their life to Christ. So for me, I had to um, get to a place where I was willing to veer away from everything that have ever known about church and be willing to be teachable and learn. So the way I was able to thrive in that setting was to be anchored in humility and servitude. My thing was, when I came to the table, I came as if I knew nothing, and I'm ready to be taught. All titles to the side. I was an elder here, but now I'm just Mark. I'm just Brother Mark. Whatever I can do to serve, not just to play. Whatever I can do to serve. If y'all need somebody to help with the clean the toilets, call me. If you need somebody to help with the parking lot, if there's somebody that needs to be cleaning up, there's many things that they don't know that I did to serve the church. I was not there just to play. I was there to be a part of a team of people, a part of a team that was winning. And I did my best to also serve the pastor. When I first started going to the church, I'll tell you honestly, Pastor Jeff, I was not as connected to the pastor as I wanted to be. I was not as connected to it. And what I mean by that, I didn't have his heart yet. I didn't have it. And I know the Bible says where a man's treasure is, there his heart will be also. Where a man's treasure is, there his heart will be also. So what I started to do is I started to take my finances and I began to sow into him, because I believed that my heart would follow where my treasure was. And it did. It linked me to him. And he knew that I was not there just for a check. I was there to make sure that this ministry could be the best that it could be. I tried to find out every area that I could serve in. I knew I was a part of a team. And sometimes I knew what I could do as well. I knew what I brought to the table. And I did not want that to look like I was trying to overshine certain individuals. So all my contributions, I made it to be a team effort. So if they asked who did this, it was not me that did it. It was our team. We all came up with it. It was the team. And he began to see that I was a team player. I really believe the quickest way to go up is to go down, to serve, to serve. And that's what I did, Pastor Jeff. It was no secret. Dr. Vernon, he watched me and he observed me, and I had no idea he was watching. I had no idea. And one day he just came to me, and we were on our way somewhere. We were out of town. I think we were headed to Chicago or something. I can't remember. But I used to travel everywhere with him. And I would not let him touch a bag. If he got out the car, I would run to try to get his bag so he wouldn't have to carry them. And I would just follow him. I said, no, sir. He would have to force, take the bag from me, because I really wanted to serve him. I didn't want him to be exhausted. I didn't want him to be tired when he got to where he was going. I wanted him to get his rest. And I would follow him. One day I was getting the bags and he said, oh, yeah, you're teaching Bible study next Wednesday. I said, I'm teaching Bible study. He had never even heard me speak. Wow. And I looked at him and I said, Pastor, can I ask you, how did you know I even speak? He said, I knew you spoke the first time I said something to you. I could tell you was a preacher. And I was shocked, because you just never know what people are thinking and how they're viewing you. People have always viewed me in light of being a piano player, a musician, but to have another set of eyes look at me from another perspective actually called to deeper inside of me. It called me to study. It called me because he began to tell me something that even some of my family weren't really saying that I was. I grew up in churches where my uncles were my pastors, and I loved them for that. But they saw me, that's my little nephew. He plays the keys, and it was hard for them to see past the keys into my kingdom assignment. But this pastor didn't know anything about me. And he saw something on me and trained me and took me on as a son from the time I came there. First time I came there, kissed my head and said, you're going with us for, we're going on a vacation. All of the church, we're going, all of leadership took us out, paid my way there, gave me the finance I need to have a good time, trained me, and just loved me from day one. And I just couldn't believe it. So I guess to answer your question, Pastor Jeff, it is humility and servitude was the resounding reason why I was able to be impacted and, for them to actually see me in that environment.
I think I got an offering plate somewhere.
Todd has a lot. Go ahead. I know Todd has a lot to say. I know Todd has a lot to say. I just want to say this before Todd said what he had to say. Is a lot of people laugh and act, and they love to say, I'll do the bathrooms and I'll do the parking lot ministry. The word actually does have a parking lot ministry.
Absolutely.
There is actual real parking lot ministry that's just working out there. So
let me tell you how important that is, because I know people laugh at that, but somebody said James Fortune in the house. You know they're wrong for that. That is so wrong. I see James.
You see what kind of podcast you on, right?
It is. I love it. All right, so but parking lot ministry is amazing. Let me tell you why. And this is so important because even when we're starting to get everything ready in Akron, and we're soliciting individuals who are going to help serve us in Akron and how to do ministry different in light of 21st century, in light of COVID-19, how we're going to do things different. And one of the main areas that I'm considering is the parking lot ministry. And people say, why? Because that is the initial place, that is the first point of connection that people will see when they come into your church. And I almost know whether I want to stay at your church based on who greets me in the parking lot. If there's a bad spirit there, I can't even imagine what it's like on the inside. As soon as I come in, if I don't feel that warm spirit and helping me park, and that might make me feel good about the entire experience. So it's more than just preaching. It's more than just the pulpit. It is the parking. And a lot of times the people who you don't see on the stage, you don't see them in the light. They don't get the hand claps. A lot of them are some of your most important people and most important ministry individuals. So yeah, I told somebody asked me, where are you going to be when you start Akron? What do you want to start off with? I know you're going to preach, but are you going to be serving? I said, yeah, I want to be in parking lot ministry. Put me out there. I want to be the first thing that to see when they come in, because that's just important to me, and we have to make sure that people feel love as soon as they come into the church, that they feel that love. Yeah, man.
Right. And I mean, it's the dynamics are changing of expectations, and not just like you're serving in a marketing standpoint, but you're trying to touch the heart of the individual.
Yeah.
Knowing that the drive up, you don't know what kind of hell somebody went through just to get to church, just to get up in the morning. I mean, fighting them kids.
Yes.
Just trying to get yourself together. Somebody might have dragged themselves out of bed after being out all night.
Yeah.
And looking for that friendly face. And I'll be honest, I think in the Black church especially, we've gotten so attached, as Pastor Jeff and I were talking earlier about the old tropes and motifs of the church. And the Black church is just mean, sour-faced folk that you just got to put up with old Bertha, and she just gonna, make you spit your gum out and do all this stuff. But there is a different dynamic. I often tell our servants that you have to think as a hotel concierge. Think yourself as how you would want your waitress to treat you. Think of how you would want the doorman at a fancy establishment. And because we are doorkeepers of the most important house on planet Earth.
Yes.
The most important, prestigious, no matter how humble it is, even if it's street parking. If you're helping somebody street park, you're still doing ministry to them to make life a little easier and to bring it forth. But I wanted to back up, Pastor Mark, to you talked about. Go ahead.
If you don't mind, I think we got to stop and pause for the cause. The bishop is in the house, Pastor Michael Harrison. I think we got to leave.
President Michael Harrison.
Yeah.
The Ohio Baptist State Convention, the Union Baptist Church.
Yes.
One hooping Negro.
One of my fathers in the ministry.
Fathers in the ministry. And that's exactly where we were going to go. Is you talked about Dr. Vernon taking you in as a son. Pastor Jeff had that experience with Pastor Harrison, taking him in as a son. I've had that experience with being taken in Bishop Clark as a son. And it's just a different language and lingo that almost takes you aback. Like you're almost scared of that type of intimate love and affection and care. Because like you said, Pastor Mark, when you come out of the context of familiarity, family, you were just little rugrat running around. You are here to play your part at the musical. or be in the band or whatever and serve. You know, until you get out of that bubble and somebody sees you as more than what you have been raised up to be. And I remember my first phone call when I took second in this. Bishop already knew my whole family up to my grandparents because they fathered him when he was in Warren, when he was a young man my age. And he called me with that commitment. And I told the story that he got my number, calls me and says, son, and I'm like, I got a daddy. You know, he says, son, I will be a father to you like your grandparents took care of me, and you'll never want for anything. And he put feet, as you said, to it. This wasn't just, I got a row of young preachers on the front pew that I know are all going to get $100 at the end of the service, or I got somebody to carry my bags. It's someone who I love like my own. And you mentioned the servanthood. And when we talk about what the world calls rising up the ranks, I think there's this perception that they just pluck out whoever speaks and looks the nicest, and they give them a pinstripe suit and say, you're next. And they're not around for the cleaning, the organizing. And even when you have that title, you still up under that organ making sure it's right for Sunday. Absolutely. You still finding, why ain't that screen working right? Or how can I clean this up or straighten that out? And people forget that it is the unseen things. It's like the iceberg. It's the iceberg effect. It is all of the things that have been built up in the hidden places, in the dark places. And then when somebody finally sees you on stage in the light, they don't see what you were doing in the dark. They don't see that. My buddy, Terrell Vidal, my business buddy, said, people don't understand. I'm getting paid now for work I did 5 years ago. These big checks, these big announcements you see, they're really work I did. I'm finally getting my compensation for when I wasn't getting anything. And I think that's important, not just for younger preachers, because we are younger preachers. We are the young preachers, but even the world that looks outside of us and says, oh, you're just another heir apparent. I'm gonna tell all y'all, I know it exists, but if you think some of us are pastors just because daddy or uncle or whoever was a pastor, you are sorely mistaken, because most of us who came up under pastors ran away from it more than we ran to it. You know, we were trying to get out of that, many of us, or we look back and realize how trapped we were in it, not in a negative way. I don't mean negative like bashing our families or our churches. I just mean we look back and realize that there is so much to us, but God has to send someone special or put us in a place like the Word, put us in a place like Union, raise us up and expose us to bigger and greater. And then we bring that back to our home. Pastor Mark, I want to talk to you about, how do you manage this world? In particular, I'll talk in the Black community, because we're seeing it more and more. And I've been explaining it to some other friends in other cultures and even some of our older members, that we are dealing with a Black culture that is not automatically Christian. It is not default church centered anymore. And so 40 years ago, you could just count on every family to have 9 kids. People just had this church centric, maybe not Jesus centered, but church centric world about them. And now we have to do the work of evangelism in a real way. We have to do the work of outreach in a real way, and not just run programs for people that are already predisposed to church. So what is your approach to that, and what have you learned about that?
Well, to some extent, I'm a bit encouraged about that, because it is job security. There are people that we have to win to Christ. That is encouraging. Today I was out to eat, and we had about a 20-minute wait, and we decided to wait outside. It was a beautiful day. We decided just to wait outside. And my team could tell you, everybody that I walked past, I told them about the church. Red, yellow, white, or black, old or young. I just started a conversation with them. And particularly an older Black couple I began to talk to. And I just invited them to church and said, hey, you know, every Sunday at 11:30 a.m., those of you who want to come, we open the doors at 11 o'clock. You're more than welcome to come in. We just started back. I would love to see you this Sunday at East High School. And the lady looked at me and she says, well, you know, I'm not Christian. You know, I'm a Muslim. And I just told her, well, you're still my sister. I love you. And, you know, thank you. And we had a respect for each other. But it kind of took me aback for a minute. Like, wait a minute now. Don't think just because I'm Black that I've been reared in this whole Christendom as you have. So we have to literally live as the light. We have to
Mm,
be individuals who are walking so that when they see us, they feel love. Before they hear our Christ, they feel our love.
mm.
We have to be able to connect with them and to feed them. While you were saying something else, Pastor Todd, you began to talk about um, being able to trust those who are our fathers. How did they get us? How did they bring us in? We were, when we first started bringing us in, we were a little bit, reserved. We didn't know if we could trust them or whatever. But I'm an individual. I love watching National Geographic. I like to watch animals. I love it. I just love animals. And one of the animals I like to watch is a dog who has been astray for some time, a dog who has been pushed aside, a dog who maybe has been abused or neglected. When you first bring that dog in, he is defensive. He's going to fight because all of his life he has been a fighter. And the quickest way to move him from being a fighter to being receptive is to give him some food. And
Hmm.
many times, the people who are you're trying to reach, trying to connect with, you can't reach them because you're not giving them food. You're giving
Right.
them things that they need to fix, things that they need to change. Well, they already know they need to be changed. They already know they're dirty. They already know they stink. They already know they need to be fixed up. But they need some food, not just physical, food that's going to feed their body, but food that's going to feed their soul, their
Right. Right.
spirit. Want to speak to where they are. And that's what I believe our Father did. They brought us in. They realized, I think to some extent, they could see themselves when they were younger. They
Yeah.
could see the hurts that they went through, and they began to now live their lives vicariously through us in some extent, because now they get an opportunity to help us avoid some of the obstacles that they went through. But then it bespeaks what we now have to do as individuals who are rising up, taking the reins, to be those individuals who say, listen, I'm going to do to some of those other young people what my fathers have done for me. I never thought I could consider myself somewhat middle aged now. I'm like, wow, I'm 40 years
Bruh.
old. Like,
Bruh.
I still want to be 20. Like, I don't know, I'm
No.
45. You're like, no, bro, you are a good 40. You straight
Good
40.
40.
So we now have the responsibility. I see young guys coming to our church now, coming to our ministry, and I can't play with them. I have to be honest with them and raise them to be men of God, women of God, and people who are going to be used by God. And I'm pouring into them because I know they are dealing with a different dynamic, a different generation.
Right.
This
Right.
generation, they don't know nothing about God. Some of them have not even stepped into church before, and I
That's
think
it.
we assume that, hey, these brothers, they want to come to church. Now, these brothers, first of all, I think this pandemic happened for a reason. Could I suggest to you that maybe God afforded us the opportunity to have a year of COVID-19 to close the doors of the church so that we could do what the church should be doing in the first place, getting
Absolutely.
out of the four walls and going to help our communities, build our community. And in light of 21st century ministry, it's not going to be the shout, clap, and dance churches, I believe, that really rise in this season. Yes, we're going to do that. We're going to shout, we're going to dance, we're going to praise. Church is the only place where you can scream, cry, roll around, and nobody take you to the hospital or something. It's the only place where it can happen. That's where we get our release. I get it, but there also, coupled with that, has to be some ministry done. Some people need to learn about finances, education, their health, their
Right.
business.
Right.
More that we have to do. And if we're going to win people to Christ, we're going to have to use different means to do it. It can't be just as usual. We have to be creative, and we'll have to be connected. They might not feel my ministry, but they might feel your ministry, Pastor Todd. They might not feel your ministry, but they might feel your ministry, Pastor Jeff. And so, as long as one of us win them, then we all win
We
together.
all win them. That's it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And for a season, they might be serving in my ministry. Then the next thing you know, they go to serve in your ministry. Next thing you know, it just is what it is. But we have to be intentional about getting these people to Christ by any means necessary, using whatever it takes to do it. And so we have to. It's just a different generation, as you suggest. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
If I can just piggyback off that and just talk about it just for 1 second, I speak very oftenly and frequently about, the prodigal son and when he came out and how the father went and met him. And the Bible specifically says that the father put a robe around him or other words, he covered him. And we have to have fathers in the ministry. When you read that scripture, he never took a bath. He never got clean. The father just covered him. And there are times in our life that we need to be covered. And that's one of the reasons I'm so proud to say Pastor Harrison was my father, because there were a lot of things in my ministry that he covered and in my life. And, you know, he took me in at a very, very crucial time in my life. So I'm very grateful for that. But just to move on, I want to really talk to you, Mark, because we got to, you know, we've been real nice and polite, but it's religiously incorrect.
This is over. The nice stuff is over. We're done with your sermons, bro.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah, but it was good. We're gonna pass the plate and all, but you know, this is.
But I do want to ask, because you are a single pastor,
handsome, light bright,
a single pastor at the light. So there's probably a lot of lights.
A lot of lights on Pastor Mark. A lot of lights on.
How do you deal with your singlehood and all the women? Because you know we've come to learn that there is a difference between a how you doing hug and a how you
know. We know. How you doing, Reverend? You spoke to me today.
That's a real question, man. I really appreciate that question. Honestly, let me just share this. I did not raise my hand and say I want to be a single pastor.
Right.
I wish I would have been married at 18, 19, 20. I promise you I do. As soon as I find my wife, I'm getting married. Like, I don't even know. I'm gone. Like,
everybody online right now.
Everybody gonna know.
I'm gonna get my sermons prepared. I'm gonna get my preachers. I'm not seeing church for 3 months. They're gonna be,
I'll fill in for you, Doc. I will fill in. I will do the honors
Pastor
for
Mark
you.
Is gone. We might not see him next couple months. We got it. You know. So, but no, seriously. I have to share with you. It's been a challenge, and what kind of pastor would I be if I don't be transparent with you and let you know it is not easy being a single pastor. It is not. I wouldn't have raised my hand. I did not want to even pastor without having a wife beside me. It is the call of God pushing me.
Right.
But truth be told, and I've already come across a lot of, I ain't going to that church because he don't have a wife. I wish I did. I'm just not. I'd rather be single long than marry wrong. I've seen.
There it is, Doc. There it is.
Oh, many. They're messed up, man. Their ministry is messed up because they could not wait for God to send the right person, or at least take the time. They were so governed by their loins that they lost their logic.
Yeah.
You have to be able to submit to God. What are you doing? Paul said, I wish that all of you would be as I, as he's talking about being single. You can do more things for God while you're single. And to all those who are single right now, listen, I want to encourage you, and let's just all take a praise break just for a minute. If you are single, I don't know, just type a 1 if you're single. If you're not single, that's okay. We love you. That's good, God. It's good. You're married.
Don't do it, y'all. He about to check your profile pics to see if he looks good. Don't type a 1. This is a trick.
It's praise God for this. Look, hey, praise God that when you come home, your food is still in the refrigerator.
Lord,
you can sleep on both sides of the bed.
Lord,
you get dressed, my wife all dressed. Hey, it's nothing like somebody. They're coming. Come on, I see y'all. Type 1. I see y'all. I'll be going back through it in a minute. Type 1.
Did this brother turn our podcast into Love Connection? You the slick one, Mark. You slick.
Let me share something with you guys for real. I might have to write a book on this at some point.
Do it.
Being single, seriously. I've always heard about the Proverbs 31 woman, but whoever talks about the Job 31 man.
You better
know. 31 woman is the virtuous woman, but the Job 31 man is the integral man. Job 31:1 says, I made a covenant with my eyes not to look on the unclean thing. That's major. Job says, I realize that I love God, but I'm a man. I realize that I love God, but he gave me these. And I'm going to be straight with you guys. I've literally had to make a contract with my eyes to say, hey, look, no, you sign right here on the dotted line. You cannot look at this because this is going to cause you to go this direction.
Yeah.
You have to be focused. Pastor Mark, have you ever looked at something inappropriate? Absolutely. Pastor Mark, have you ever done things you wish you could take back? Absolutely. As it has not been easy. But God has reserved me. God has kept me, and I'm waiting and believing that God's going to send the right person in due season, and it's going to be a wonderful thing. But
Hey,
Pastor,
you need some church mothers with the napkins, because I got about 4 of them that can bring them lap napkins and
listen,
lay. Hey, my wife is good, boy. She got a whole posse. Let somebody come and sit toward the front. Them posses.
hey, that's a real state.
You need that.
That's
you
real.
need it.
And them seats at East ain't no joke either, is it? Let's go up on you. Yeah, they go up on you.
Them seats at East.
Oh my Lord.
But you're right, Pastor Mark. And you know what? I've heard, from both sides. I've heard brothers who got upset about who they lost when they got married.
Yes.
That they lost the attention and the affection of all these delusional suitors.
Yes.
And people who thought that they were just going. And of course, you have some brothers, unfortunately, and perhaps some sisters as well in ministry, who embrace and use that to their advantage for a season, to string people along, to paint themselves as a symbol of example, or a sex symbol, more or less. And I appreciate the integrity. I've heard, Dr. Vernon speak highly of your integrity, and that's another thing about a spiritual father or a church. They want to know they can trust the man or woman of God that is up there, that they're not going to walk in one Sunday into a mess. They're not going to turn on Facebook and hear about their pastor and tear down the good work. And we all know that, people fall short, but there is just an additional call upon our lives. And like you, we all can say there are things we wish we hadn't done or engaged in. And trust me, being married ain't no picnic, and young and married is no picnic. And I tell some of my young peers about several phases of my life came young. I was at 22, 23-year-old engaged and saved. And my wife and I will both tell folk, well, that was God, but also we had to go through some stuff to become mature. And we would not recommend, especially in this generation, that's a little more immature and a lot more just going on in your face, that, you might want to wait till you got a few years under your belt before you dive in.
No, I want to start. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. If you on here and you watching, you Beyonce with the Holy Ghost, just call me.
You need to be biblical and bootylicious. That's what Pastor Mark is saying. That's what
biblical and bootylicious. I'm preaching that next week, Doc.
Hey, I mean, it's real, and it is so much going on in our world that, as pastors, we already walk up with a mark on our face that we're sleazy, that there's some game, some gimmick, and so it matters. And even this type of conversation, that we're human, we can laugh, we can joke, and then be real about the integral things that have to do with ministry. So I appreciate that, man. I want to ask you a question, Pastor Mark.
Yes, sir.
I'm so proud of you in the Light Church. And what you just mentioned about your religiously incorrect exclusive, by the way, your religiously incorrect exclusive announcement about the Light Church Akron and the calling to Greater Holy Trinity, who we had the wonderful superintendent Clarence Jackson, who came and preached for us through my brother June, had him come at Agape. And I just loved his spirit and his heart before he passed. That is, number one, something that Pastor Jeff knows, been on my heart, that we need to be more strategic about bringing together kingdom resources, that is churches, local churches, under strong vision, not just any old body, but also I wanted to ask, what is some of the challenges, some of the pitfalls, some of the struggles of being a young pastor and a launching pastor? I mean, there's a lot of pitfalls to walking into a 100-year-old church, but you walking into a church that is built of your own hands. Talk about some pitfalls. What grinds your gears? You can be honest, but don't say no names. Don't say no names. We don't want you to lose no members. But
I really want to be a bit prophetic here and say what I'm sensing and what I see. And I'm sharing that with you, Pastor Todd. First of all, I have to congratulate you. You have done a wonderful job on transitioning the church that you are in now. I might say something that's a bit offensive to some, and I have not talked to you at all.
Yes, sir.
The context of this platform allows me to be religiously incorrect.
Go ahead.
But I would tell you that I believe God has already been talking to you about what you have to do as it relates to moving forward. And as it relates to, like you said, resources bring together. God has given you a vision. You already know what the name of the church should be. You already see it. God has already shown you everything. I'm not saying anything to you that you don't already know. And I'm believing that God's going to give you the resources and the right people for you to continue to do what God has already called you to do. And I pray you receive this in love, because we have not talked about this
I
at
receive it,
all.
brother. You already know. I
Yeah,
receive it
but
and confirm it.
yeah, there is a call on you. And it was, let me share with you from my experience, going into the ministry that I am in now. I didn't know if it was going to be congratulations or condolences. I did
Hmm.
not know. I did not know. All I know is I would rather err on the side of doing what I believe God called me to do and what He's put on my heart to do.
Yes, sir.
I'd rather die trying to do
Yes.
what God said for me to do. And when I went there, I told them, and I was very upfront with them, I already have a ministry, the light. That's the call that God put on me. If I am to undertake this task, I need to know that you all embrace this
Yeah. Yeah.
vision, because there can't be two visions. Um, Greater Holy Trinity is a beautiful church, it's a beautiful ministry. It had soared for years, many, many, many years. It was Greater Holy Trinity Church, and they did what they needed to do for that season. But now it's shifting. It's time for change. It's time to embrace some other things. So they all came under the umbrella of the line and decided, hey, let's do this thing together.
Wow.
Let's bridge our resources. Let's bridge and see if we can be a better impact. That didn't come without some calamities. There was some individual that said, I like the way we've been doing it. Ain't nothing wrong with what we're doing. Let's just keep it the way it is. Well, the way it has been working. Why don't we just stick with that? Okay. So the reality is there's a need. There's a call for change.
Yeah.
There's a call for
Yeah.
change. And it's the light now, but who knows, 30 years, 40 years from now, some whippersnapper might come in and say, God's given me something. And now we have to take the vision to another level. It might have to shift to another church. I don't know. But right
Yeah.
now, while it's on me and I'm the visionary, let's take and let's do what we have to do. So I'm praying that there will be leaders, even who are traditional, watch this, that will acquiesce to the will of God and the vision that's in you, the will of God and the vision that's in you, and the resources that have. Well, I've been a part of this church for
I receive it.
5 years. I
Yeah.
get it, but what is God saying now?
Yeah.
Are we
Yeah.
going to go with what our traditional beliefs are, the Pharisaical, the Pharisees and the Sadducees? Are we going to be those individuals, or are we going to say, God, where are you now? What are you saying now? Are we going to be following Him by the flame by night and the cloud by day, or are we going to be traditionalists who legalize God out of it, and we just want to be religious and go with the rules of today and just be that traditional church? Well, this is what we've always been, and we've noted for this. And I believe God has sent you, Pastor Tom, for a time as this, to bridge the gap. And I love how you've taken so much time. You've just been taking time, and you're gradually bringing them to a place. And I know it takes time. It's taking time with me. I
Yeah.
didn't go in and say we're changing everything.
Right.
I
Right.
haven't even announced it. I've been the pastor there for about 6 months. I haven't even said much about it. I've just been taking them through grief recovery and loving on them, feeding them, loving on them, making sure they have what they need, making sure they have what they need to battle through COVID, make sure they have what they need as it relates to they just lost their pastor. How do I love on them? I used to be there years ago. They knew me as Lil Mark, who played the keys.
Yeah.
But now I'm Pastor Mark. Many of them have to transition to understanding how
Oh
to
yeah.
walk the pastor now. I was like, wow, he's pastor. It's different for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's a transition now to see me in a new light now. And so now it's been a challenge, but they have been so loving to me. They have been so supportive. And I praise God for that, because they've really come behind the vision. And I'm believing it's going to be wonderful. We're going to get together and just do some wonderful things. So for me, it was hard. It did not come without its challenges, and even finding how to time it. What time should this service be? What time should this be? It's
Yeah.
different things. How can I be in two cities at once? And the virtual thing, how can we make sure that they see it and this church sees it? Okay, what are we going to dress like? Okay, they're used to dressing up.
Oh yeah.
Church is used to dressing down. Okay, so How we're going to embrace that. It's so many different things that it goes with it. It just takes time and prayer.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I just go back to the vision. Here's what I see our ministry as, and I want everything to kind of acquiesce to what God gave me as it relates to the vision. And if they're not for the vision, then they need to go somewhere where they can do something. Now, watch this. Um, there were some individuals who were challenged with even the name change. While you're going to the Light Church now, so I don't know if I could do that because we've always been in. So I'm going to leave the church and go somewhere else. Now, watch this. What you're saying is you're going to leave a church to go to another church that has a different name.
Right.
Leave. Now, what sense does that mean? You're going to leave to go to a different name because this name is changed. It's just little things that I started to think about. And ultimately, don't think if God gives a call towards you that you're not going to have some type of opposition. Many of you who are watching right now know that God's called you to do some things. You know, he's pushing you into some direction. You have to be willing to and expect that there's going to be opposition that comes with it. Nothing that he gives you is going to come easy. If it comes easy, it's probably sleazy. You're going to have to say, you know what, God, I know what you said, and I'm going for it. I'm giving it everything that I have. And that's all we can do, man.
Jeff, you watch out for that easy and sleazy ministry, Doc. I don't want you to fall into easy.
Don't fall into it.
Easy, sleazy street.
Come on now.
I receive it, Pastor Mark. And we are a generation, and I know, Pastor Jeff, we share heart. I mean, we have been down the journey in the gutter, out the ditch together. There is a bridge that we occupy. We are old enough to know the old school, and we are ministering to the new school. And I think one of the distinguishing factors that I know you walk in, Mark, Pastor Jeff definitely walks in, and I strive for is doing things in a spirit of honor, because we know we are another link in the chain.
Yes.
And when I walked into Second Baptist at 99-year-old church.
Yes.
And you know what my greatest, and I'm going to ask you this question, I'll give you mine. We usually do a rapid fire segment, and we'll do it in a second after our next ad, but I'll do my own real quick before we bring in Big Mike. And I'll ask, and I'll start with myself, the most surprising thing that grew you as a minister or as a pastor. And mine was doing funerals.
Wow.
When I came to Second, Agape was a fairly young church still. You know, we didn't have a bunch of church mothers, a bunch of large families where I'm just constantly doing somebody's cousins, uncles, brothers service, constantly getting called to the hospital. You know, Agape is only as old as I am. So growing up there, it was still a fairly young church most of the time. I got the Second, and Pastor Jeff, there was bodies waiting for me in the office. I mean, it was one deacon said we was waiting on a pastor so some of them could die. Some of them was holding on to get a pastor. But I mean, Second is one of those funeral capitals of the city. And I know you can get dragged down but it was first of all, you see the real brevity of life. Sure. And you learn how to relate to people going through this cycle and how there can be a blessing and a healing in mourning. And then you're introduced to folks' families that were never going to come and hadn't been in this church since they were 13 years old. Yeah. They threw at church, and then they come up like, who is this dude? Right. Who is this kid about to preach my grandmama's funeral? Exactly. And I done got so good at talking about heaven, Doc. I could draw that mug in my sleep, man. I mean, I could, but it grew me, and that's what I'm saying. It grew me in grace. It grew me in understanding. Even y'all know how we do funerals in the Black church. We just want to shout folk happy and everybody dance around the casket. I stopped all that. We're not here to try to shout out what is going to be a long-term process. Yeah. There's a time to celebrate, but all this, because I often say when in the funerals, we do all that stuff for us because we uncomfortable with the crying. So we try to get you, we try to get you shouting because we don't know what to do if you don't stop crying. Right. I had to learn grace, learn how to deal with different people, messiness, and families that are dealing with what to do with crazy Uncle so-and-so and who get the fur coat and all this stuff. And it really grew me as a minister in ways that preaching revivals, doing conferences, being invited to some convention wasn't doing. Jeff, what was your thing that surprisingly gave you some pastoral growth?
Well, you know, I mean, it's literally what you had, but you went into Second with a lot of the older members. When I went to Beulah, it was more because I was from Youngstown and because I had grew up in Youngstown, I was the one who done all these dudes that we grew up with funerals. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I had to do the big cans and the, you know, all these cats that I literally went to school with, you know, and you know, so I'm doing a funeral and it's 20 people outside smoking weed. You know, they smoking weed, or you know, you got these motorcycle funerals where you come in and it's like it's packed, a million people on a motorcycle, but ain't none of them in the church.
Right,
You know
right.
what I'm saying? So, and I'm preaching, trying to preach loud and vivid enough so they can hear me outside. You know,
That's why you got that cordless mic. You got that cordless mic and walk
I literally want
outside.
to go outside and talk to these people. And but I think you're absolutely right, because I can still recall being at Agape and doing my first funeral ever. And your dad was like, your dad came with me. Your dad was like, well, do you know what you're doing? And I was like, I ain't never really done one before.
You like ashes to ashes,
Yeah,
ashes to dust,
her ashes to ashes. I ain't know nothing about ashes to ashes.
glitter to glitter.
And but your dad came with me, and he walked me through it, and it was phenomenal. And you know, so after that, you know, once I got to Beulah and I got 30 of them in 1 year, it was you know, I could do the whole committal in my sleep now.
In your sleep. Oh yeah. Shout out to George, by the way. Shout out to George. Shout out to my dad, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend. He will preach a sermon and fix your car in the same Sunday in the parking lot. Pastor Mark, right quick, we got to get the rapid fire and get out of here. What's that surprising growth experience? What do you think in your life you didn't see it coming, but it really grew you in ministry?
Honestly, not to sound over spiritual, prayer.
I feel it.
Prayer, like with our ministry, since the outset, God really compelled us to start a prayer chain. And so even before the ministry had actually been birthed, 5-6 months prior, we had a prayer team just praying daily, weekly, praying. And then when we got going, we decided every Sunday morning we would pray at 8:30. And then we would pray every Wednesday at noon. I still like that traditional noonday prayer on Wednesday. So we did that. And when I tell you, prayer has changed our ministry. Sometimes we have more people in prayer. We were having more people in prayer than people who were watching the virtual things, or more people in prayer that were coming to a actual service. And that's important to me. So for me, one of the main things that grew me was prayer. Secondly, technology. Technology was a challenge for a lot of my seasoned individuals when we got to the Greater Holy Trinity Church. Many of them didn't know about this whole Zoom. I'm tired of Zoom. I don't want to do no Zoom. I'm done with Zoom. Zoom, nothing. I'm done with that. And we had to gradually help them. We're still helping some of them come along with that. And even the young people, to my surprise, did not really want to be on Zoom for church. They just did not. They would rather risk getting COVID and come to a church service than watch it on Zoom. They did not want to do it. And so that has been an ongoing challenge for us to embrace technology, that when you come on and you see the experience, you feel like, man, this is a quality experience. I can hear the littlest thing. And then watch this, you're up, I don't want to say up against, but it is. You're up against so many other people that's preaching and teaching at the same time. So it's like people are going wherever they want to go. They're listening to whoever they want.
They visit everybody's church in one day. Boy, they'd have been to 9 churches.
Yeah. So it's like you don't know what they've heard, what word they get. And some people say, I go to Bishop Jake's church and say, that's so good. God bless you. And if something happened to your family, go ahead and call Bishop Jakes. I'm sure.
Right.
And I love him because I listen to him. But all of us need a pastor. All of us need somebody that we can reach, that we can connect. And so the local church ministry is important. And I love Bishop Jakes, and other individuals that I just listen to. I have a group of individuals I love to tune in and listen to. I'll listen to Pastor Todd in a minute. I'll go in and listen to him, hear what he's saying, his dynamic preaching.
You don't want that hooping. You don't want that old Baptist. Old Baptist sweating.
You know you can preach.
Put Jesus down and pick him up again.
Yeah, Pastor Jeff, y'all can preach. Y'all know y'all can preach. I'm just saying. But I love to listen to good preaching and good ministry. Of course, I'm a worshiper. I love music too. I'm not going to denounce or renounce that part of me, I should say. I love music. I'm a worshiping pastor. I love to play still. But it's just a different call that's on me right now. But I'm definitely embracing technology, a little bit more in prayer. Those have been the two things. As it relates to funerals, man, I got my share of funerals in while I was at the Word Church. I had to do everybody's funeral. I didn't even know them, and
Right. Oh yeah.
praise God. But you know how you got to do it. It's what it is.
Oh yeah.
That's dust to dust. Yeah, I get it. So, but I love it. I love helping the families. And one thing I learned about funerals is you get a lot of people who might never ever come to your church again. They come in, they smell like weed, they're high, they alcohol, they feel like, and you get a real chance to really speak and preach and teach the gospel of Jesus Christ. I've seen more people saved at a funeral sometimes than a service.
Right. Right.
A lot of people come to Christ there, and our goal is to get them to Christ and then see if we can keep them.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah. So.
Everybody, I'm so grateful that you have all tuned in to Religiously Incorrect with Pastor Mark T. Jackson of the Light Church. He has been dropping gems all night long. I have been writing all of them down, and I will preach them. I will preach all of them. Hey, I'm going to knock this last one out. I have Jeff do his mother-in-law again, but the Phillips Care family of businesses, y'all know how in love I am with Black-owned businesses. They also, Mike Phillips, another one of, he's a little younger than me because I'm old now, but he operates Phillips Care Training in Cortland, Ohio at 270 South High Street. They operate what they call High Street Fitness. He wants to get you fit. And we all know if you've ever been downtown at the Warren Amp, Mike will not only get you fit, but he'll just about kill you trying to get you there. He will murder you. He had his baby doing push-ups. He had his baby doing one-arm push-ups, like 18 months old. Mike is a Harding graduate, our star quarterback back in the day, played for Pitt University, and he is Fernando's brother. Y'all know how much I love the Phillips family. They're like brothers to me. I told you about that time he beat me up in sixth grade. But I called his mama a name, and I learned my lesson real quick. But anyway, the Phillips Care Training, 277 South High Street. I don't have a graphic, but we thank Phillips Care family of businesses for their support. They've been our inaugural sponsors, and we appreciate them. Go on ahead, Jeff, knock that out for your mama one more time.
Once again, we want to thank Five Grands Boutique, 164 High Street. Listen, she has unique apparel as well as accessories. She got the chain, she got all the extra, the earrings, the chains, the rings, whatever you want to get, you go down there. Listen, and also you can check her out every Friday right around 6 o'clock. They have a online Zoom type of fashion show. You can check out all the clothes that she has. She goes on there, so y'all check her out. I believe y'all gonna really enjoy it, and I believe that you can get some great stuff for Mother's Day from Five Grands Boutique.
Love it, love it, love it. If you have a question, get it in quick. We do what we call rapid fire towards the end of our show. That means we don't give no more sermons, Mark. We give 30-second sermonettes. Remember when the preachers used to put us up and say, you got 2 minutes.
You got 2 minutes. You better
and we all on fire from the jump. Speaking of which, Pastor Mark, we were leaving Cracker Barrel today, and I ran into the legend, the one and only Dad Loggins.
Oh, is that right?
Wow. I mean, he made my heart so glad to see him. And just brought me and the wife to tears to see him again because he knew us when we were just little bits.
Yes.
And you got to remember the bridge that brought you over. Big Mike, come on in and shut us down. He's got one rapid fire question for us before we go. Y'all, thanks for hanging out with us. What's up, Big Mike?
Oh, man, great show, fellas. Great show. Pastor Mark, enjoyed you tonight, man.
Thank you, sir.
We forgive you for last week.
Yeah. I sent him some no-dos. I sent him some 5-hour energy and some no-dos.
Forgive me.
But hey, man, you definitely made up for it today, man. So thank you. Thank you for coming on, man. I just got one question for you real quick.
Okay.
Every pastor that we have on, I ask them this question. So tonight is your turn. How good or how bad was your first sermon?
Man, I thought it was good. Let me just be honest. I thought it was good. But the reality is beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Right.
What I might think is good, somebody might think is terrible. I tell you, I prepared a lot for it. It was called Faith on Trial when I did my trial sermon. Faith on Trial. I talked about Genesis chapter 22 when Abraham went up the mount and he had the trying of his faith after God asked you for something that he promised you? Why are you taking the very thing that you promised away from me? And it was just a test of his faith. But man, I tell you, I think it went well.
You think you did good?
Yeah,
Good.
The sermon today, I don't know if it was that great.
And that actually wasn't too bad, man. Because we've heard some stories, bro.
Yeah, we've had some bad ones. We've
heard some stories.
Stinkers.
Hey, Pastor Mark went home. You know how you do after you do it. I killed it.
I slayed him.
Hey, then you listen to it about 12 years later. You be like, man, that was I murdered that. That was just I murdered that sermon. I
don't even think I was saved then. I don't even think I knew Jesus.
I always feel like I'm trying to survive a sermon. Always.
And that's the truth. Folks don't know the battle you go through. I'll tell you the advice the late great, and your beloved Everett McCullum gave to me. He said, you got to put your practice in. And one time he was teaching me a certain rendition of Amazing Grace.
Yes.
And I did not practice that week.
Woo.
And when I came back, he said, now play it.
Yeah.
And I played the worst rendition of Amazing Grace you ever want to hear, because he was teaching me a certain one. And he said, Todd, if people heard that in church, they would run out and go sin.
Listen, this one thing I learned. If you're gonna die quickly.
Die quickly. Wrap it up.
Die quickly. Don't die. Don't let it be a long, drawn out, slow death. Just die.
Just go down.
Quickly,
Just go straight down.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, Pastor Mark, we're definitely gonna have you back, man. And I'm just sitting here brainstorming. I think the next show is gonna be a matchmaking show for you.
A matchmaking. Religiously incorrect. Love connection. Hey, I'm still looking for all them ones. Mike. Mark coming back.
I ain't seen no ones.
You didn't get no ones. Hey, this ain't no light broadcast. This ain't no light church broadcast. I'm seeing your ones. I see your ones. We got church mothers watching us, Doc. We got church mothers and the culinary committee watch us.
We're gonna start promoting it like 2-3 months early.
We're gonna line them up,
bro.
We're gonna line them up.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hilarious. Hey, but we appreciate you, Pastor Mark. You know how much my love for you is deep, and our support. To watch, I say this all the time to me, and I'm not leaving you out, Pastor Jeff, but we got a crew that came up at musicals, concerts, groups. I'm talking me and Barry and Cam and Mark, and we like, man, who let us be preachers? Who let us?
Yes, it was something. I want to say to you all, I thank you so much. Oftentimes, your colleagues or peers don't see the same in you, and I just thank God that we have that respect for each other and each other's ministries, man. And I just want you guys to know, if there's ever a time that I can do anything to serve you, help you in any way, we're here. The Light Church family is here as well, and I just thank you for inviting me and bringing me onto this platform. I definitely honor that. And to those
on that revival,
what's up? Yeah.
We're going to work on that revival. And I already got my eyes on something at the amp already. I'm already thinking of who needs to come next. Who needs to come next? Jeff, you got anything?
Man, I just want to say, man, this is the best show ever. And that's this week. Next week is going to be the best show ever.
Next show will be the best show ever.
Right now?
This is the best show. Greatest guest we ever had.
If it's your first time tuning in, we do this every Sunday night. This is our Sunday night wind down, our Sunday night service. So check us out on YouTube, Facebook Live every Sunday at 9 p.m. sharp.
9 p.m. sharp.
Also, our audio will be available probably Monday or Tuesday. So if you want to listen to it in the ride, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, you name it. If they download podcasts, we are there. So check us out, Religiously Incorrect.
We got to get a shirt to Mark. Gotta
Oh
make
yeah,
sure Mark
definitely.
get a
No,
t-shirt.
rock it. I
He
will
can
rock
rock that joint.
Definitely.
I still have my good
definitely.
curls in this picture, so it's all good.
The Dietrich Hatton look.
My Dietrich Hatton, I had a Dietrich Hatton going on.
Yeah, man.
Wait, where's that goat? Where's that goat meme, man? I had before. Okay. Hey, y'all. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it, Pastor Mark. Stay on for a second. We just want to thank you. And everybody, tune in, like, share, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And until next time, play that funk out, Mike.
Peace, y'all. See y'all next week.